How often should you do strength training? Today I want to talk with you how often should you do strength training to reach your desired goal, whether it might be size, strength, endurance, general health or well-being. Yeah? Stay tuned. How often should you do strength training is one of the most questions we receive, and actually one answer you will hear very often from me: it depends, because there's no one size fits all. Yeah? Normally I would say, what's your goal? And from there we work backwards. Yeah? So if you're interested in size, so let's say the muscles grow a bit bigger, the training frequency, how many sessions a week, might be a bit higher than if you're working on becoming stronger. Yeah? So again, first question should be, what's your goal? And from there we deduct the frequency per week. Another important factor to consider is, what are your other responsibilities? So in my work with athletes, very seldomly we only do strength training. They have their sport-specific training, which most often is more important than the strength training, because that's where they need to compete in. They also have an education, sometimes they have a family, sometimes they have a work. So it depends very much on your other responsibilities. So first we need to find out what's your goal, and second we need to find out what are your other responsibilities. And that can help us to design a training program and to answer the question, how many sessions a week in a month you should do in order to reach your desired goal. In my work with athletes, there are also other things I need to consider. Depending on the sport, the influence of strength training might be higher or lower. So at the moment I'm working with BMX and track cycling. There the influence of the physical capacities is much higher than in other sports. I worked with equestrian before. Strength training is important, but there are so many things that are much more important than the strength training. So this is another thing we need to consider. How important is strength training in your sporting performance? Yeah? Then if we look a little bit deeper into the season, we have a preparatory period, the off-season, and we also have an in-season. Yeah? Many times in the off-season, the physical development is a priority. So the amount of strength training we do is higher. Once we move into the in-season, competition becomes priority, and the sport-specific training. So the influence on strength training and the amount of strength training we do is less. So to round that up, I know you want to have some quantifiable numbers, and not only this, it depends here, it depends there. So I give you some quantifiable numbers. If we're talking about strength training, let's say we want to improve strength and maximum strength, it has an effect on the nervous system. So the recovery of the nervous system takes quite a bit of time. So you are well off with 2 to 3 sessions a week. If you're working on size, let's say you want to grow a bit bigger, then you can have a bit of a higher frequency. Maybe 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week. But it's very important to schedule it right. Yeah? Whether you're working on strength, whether you're working on size, whether you're working on strength endurance, the loading pattern over the weeks becomes very important. So you can't go full out. You also need to have some unloading periods in there. Yeah? So generally speaking, if we're working on strength, maximum strength, the frequency per week is a bit lower, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. If we're working on size, hypertrophy, so becoming a bit bigger, the frequency might be higher, 3 to 5 times a week. If we're working on strength endurance, also the frequency tends to be a bit lower, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, for the simple reason that we don't work on strength endurance, and that is in my case, that we don't work on strength endurance purely. We might have 1 or 2 sessions strength endurance, and then 1 other maintaining strength session kind of thing. Yeah? So I hope you enjoyed that, and please stay tuned.